In Miami, responding to the scene of violent crimes is an everyday occurrence. And when every second counts, the speed and mobility of helicopter ambulances can mean the difference between life and death. This story is not a recreation. It's the result of one night's ride with the Metro-Dade Air Rescue Team.
Dade County Police and Fire, do you have an emergency?
Yes, it's an emergency.
What is the emergency, please?
Someone just got robbed. I'm in my car.
What is the address where this happened?
At 10:48 p.m., a call comes into 911.
What happened?
The guy had a gun. They just ran across the road, and I almost ran him over.
Okay, what, he held the place up with the gun?
Yeah. There was somebody screaming, and I saw him running with a suitcase and a gun.
County Police and Fire.
There was a shootout, and there's a man bleeding.
He got shot?
Yeah, there were 3 shots, and there was a man bleeding from the head.
Dade County Police and Fire, do you have an emergency?
2 persons were shot in Burr Road.
More calls report a double shooting in the parking lot outside a restaurant.
No, I'm just calling because they're lying on the floor.
All right, we have officers on the way out there.
When we continue.
Shooting, stabbings, accident victims is routine Saturday night for Dade County. Why? Big city. Big cities are always busy.
Respond with engine 3 to a 330 Street Southwest 96th Avenue. Police are en route. Car reported by a passerby. There's no other information.
Sure, so 96 and 40.
Local rescue vehicles rush to the scene. At the same time, the air rescue helicopter crew is also launched. The time difference is 7 minutes handling time on the aircraft as opposed to 41 minutes handling time on the ground unit. So that's where we think we make the difference.
When you go out on another call, it's another person that needs your help. So this is the most tragic thing that's probably ever happened in their lives.
We have 2 patients, one with a gunshot to the head, one with an abdominal gunshot.
Shooting, stabbings, accident victims is routine Saturday night for Dade County. Why? Big city. Big cities are always busy.
Yes, sir, we're responding to a 3:30 shooting with 2 patients, 1 patient.
One thing is certain, that we have saved many lives, and had we have not been involved in the transportation of these injured persons, they would have died.
Okay, you're clear down right, yes, sir.
The helicopter lands in a schoolyard.
Okay, guys, we're stepping out.
The 2 gunshot victims are transferred from a nearby rescue vehicle.
The restaurant owner exited the business when he was approached from behind by a male. He was struck on the back of the head with a firearm and immediately turned around and began struggling with the subject. Thereafter, a friend of his came out to his aid, and at that point, the restaurant owner was shot, and the friend of his was also shot during the struggle.
And the first patient that we brought up was the patient with the gunshot wounds to the head.
Fernando Garcia was held up at gunpoint outside his family restaurant.
The other patient was in critical condition.
His customer, Ray Amaro, had taken a shotgun blast in the stomach while trying to defend him.
You're clear left, we're right in the back.
Okay, you're clear right, tail square.
Air Rescue 2's lifted off with patients with an ETA of about 4 to 5 minutes at this time.
Across the city, Jackson Memorial Hospital preps for their arrival.
Patient number 1, a 36-year-old male. He has multiple pellet wounds from a shotgun to the lower left abdomen. There appears to be at least 10 entry wounds. Second patient, he also was shot with a shotgun. He has at least 2 entry wounds to the left side of his head, above the left ear.
33 minutes after the first call for help, the med chopper lands on the roof of the hospital.
Load.
Okay, AC's off. When you get a patient who's unstable and they whisk them in here within a matter of 10 minutes of the injury, even if they're 30 miles away, and without them, they die. No question.
Though his head wounds are bloody, restaurant owner Fernando Garcia's injuries are not nearly as critical as those of the man who tried to help him.
Got it?
Yeah.
The trauma surgeon on call is Dr. Robert Zeppa.
Apparently some goons were waiting for the owner outside his restaurant. Picked him up in the parking lot, started to beat him, and this chap was a customer and apparently went to his help.
Dr. Michael Stamos examines Ray Amaro.
He's getting x-rays now. He's stable completely. I went ahead and handled the gunshot wound to the abdomen because it sounded like he was going to need emergency surgery. He actually had what appeared to be a shotgun blast to his left upper quadrant of his abdomen with a fair amount of spread. Do me a favor, call 188-149, ask him to get down here right away. Explain to him what we're going to do. ELAP, repair whatever's injured. May have to remove spleen or whatever is injured. May get a colostomy. We need a one-shot IVP real quick first. A what? A one-shot IVP, because he got his kidney. I want to make sure the other one's working. Well, the x-rays showed a large number of fragments in the abdominal cavity. No pneumo.
Okay, he's got priority one.
What's he called? Are you gonna?
There may be multiple holes in the intestinal tract, and we got to close all of them. Just to leave one open is dangerous.
Out of the way. Excuse me, somebody got the elevator? Yeah. As we're preparing him for the surgery, there was a difficulty in placing the tube that allows the anesthesiologist to breathe for the patient during the operation. Give me a knife, quick. Yes, go. We had to make an incision in his neck and enter the trachea directly with the tube in order to breathe for him. Yes, give me a quick. Give me a tube, quick. Give me a tube. Somebody give me a tube. Okay, it's in. Let's go. Damn it. At that time, he stabilized, and we proceeded with the operation. Once you're in the abdomen, the x-rays don't really help you a lot in this kind of situation. You've got a large number of pellets, more than 20 or 30, and the only way to know what's going on is to examine every single organ individually one at a time. You have to be very systematic and make sure you don't miss anything, because a missed injury in this sort of situation is lethal.
Some more pellets hanging around.
Got a bunch right here.
We know we're clear all the way to here. Right here we begin. 1, 2, let's go. Atta boy.
He had several pellet wounds to his small intestine, as well as 1 or 2 to his large intestine. There was a couple of pellets in the area of the blood vessel supplying the spleen, requiring us to remove the spleen.
Just clamp it. Put a clamp on it, and we'll tie them off. Atta boy.
In a trauma room, Fernando Garcia is also treated.
His wounds were all superficial. He was admitted and watched overnight carefully, seen by the neurosurgeons, and then he was discharged home the following day.
I feel I'm lucky that I'm alive. He tried to save my life, no matter if I was the owner of the restaurant or no matter what I was. He don't know nothing to me, I don't know nothing to him. He was my customer, he know me, he did it all for me.
Mr. Amaro, over the next couple of days, did very well, and about post-op day 2 or 3, he began having some respiratory problems. He then went on to develop a pneumonia. He rapidly deteriorated and required increasing respiratory support. This pneumonia, once it got a foothold, just ate away his lung. Despite aggressive antibiotic therapy and all the other maneuvers that we use to combat pneumonias and bad infections, he continued to deteriorate and went on to expire.
They came to the restaurant to see me, to tell me the news that he passed away. It's like you lost something big, something that you won't forget in all your life. I cried many days.
Ray Amaro had come to this country from Cuba 9 years earlier. His only close relative here was his cousin, Blanca.
We were brought up together. He was the only family I had over here. He was a guy who was real active, real happy, always having a good time. Ray was the type of man who didn't like abuse of animals, people. That was the heroic part of him.
Ray had never been happy with his life in Cuba. Several times he tried to escape by raft, only to be caught and returned.
The first thing that he said when he got to Miami was, Now I can die happy because I'm in the freedom state. I really feel sad and at the same time happy because the love that he had planted all over was so great. I'm sure he did it for his fellow man, and he would have done it for any stranger.
Paramedic Scott Harper found the news of Amaro's death hard to accept.
We hate to lose anybody, so I was very surprised and shocked. We certainly had high hopes for him. This was a man that obviously was a caring person and wanted to do something for his fellow human beings and try to help them out in a moment of crisis. I am, really sad about this, but, we'll have to go on.
Everything had been changed. I was the one that supposed to be dead, but because of his good feelings, his good heart, he saved my life. That's the way I see it.
I always try and help people, and even people that I've seen sometimes on the street, and sometimes if you lend a hand, even a complete stranger, you'll get something back from it, and I guess that's what I got back. I got my father.